The Tragedy of Cinema podcast is intended as a family-friendly program that by extension strives to be inclusive to all people regardless of their ethnicity, gender, creed, or any other identifying factors in this incredibly diverse world of ours. With that said, some of the films we discuss may contain serious subject matters or have content considered morally objectionable by today's standards. We do not intend to condone or dismiss these aspects of these films, but our primary focus will be on what we believe the film succeeds at, some fun facts, and our personal enjoyment factors of each film. With that said, we hope you enjoy the show.
Alright guys, welcome back to the Tragedy of Cinema. I'm your host Jimbo, and joined again today by
Kyle.
Today we are discussing probably one of the greatest science fiction movies of all time, from the late 70s, Alien, will be episode 131 of this podcast. But Kyle, before we start, would you like a question?
No, Jimbo, no questions today. I'm questioned out.
Since you didn't want a question, I'm going to tell you, if you were in this movie, what I think you would be.
Am I the alien?
No.
Am I the facehugger? Am I the...
No. I'm just saying, if you were going to die in this movie, the famous chest bursting scene, you would be the same guy, but it wouldn't be coming out of your chest.
Coming out of my foot.
Yeah.
Foot alien.
The fart alien is
fart alien. Yeah, fart alien. Yeah, the fart alien. The fart.
How'd Kyle die? The fart alien.
The fart got him. The fart got him.
And now we've just...
I always knew this would happen.
Can't believe we had a fart joke in the first minute of the movie. So
exactly. Classic.
All right, Kyle, this is a big movie, so let's go ahead and get started on it.
Gargantuan, even. All right, well, I'll get right into it here. We have the movie Alien, released on May 19th of 1979, directed by the legendary Ridley Scott, director of such films as like Blade Runner and Alien and other films. And I didn't have a list on hand, but
was it like Pitch Black? I think
Pitch Black. No, I don't think he did Pitch Black. There was a movie of the one the Great Renaissance. Ridley Scott's a great director, guys. Written by Dan O'Brien for the screenplay and Ronald Shusett for the story. Composer Jerry Goldsmith. Cinematographer Derek Van Lint. Editors David Crowther and Terry Rollins and Peter Weatherly. Casting director was Mary Goldberg. And production designer was Michael Seymour. Budget of the film was $11 million flat. Adjusting for inflation today, that'd be about $44.3 million today. Opening weekend came in just with $3.5 million. Adjusting for inflation, would be about $14.2 million today. But gross in U.S. and Canada, it came back strong with $81.9 million. Adjusting for inflation again, that'd be about $330 million today. And gross worldwide would be $106.2 million. Adjusting for inflation, would be about $428.4 million today. Big money there.
All right, Kyle. Here's Ridley Scott movies. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Alien, Blade Runner, Legend. Thelma and Louise.
Mm-hmm.
G.I. Jane, Gladiator, Hannibal, Black Hawk Down, Matchstick Men, Kingdom of Heaven, American Gangster, Body of Lies, Robin Hood, Prometheus, Exodus, Gods and Kings, The Martian, Alien Covenant, The Last Duel, House of Gucci, and coming out in 2023, that is in post-production, Napoleon. So he did not do Pitch Black.
No, he did not do Pitch Black. Okay, didn't do Pitch Black. But still, like, Ridley Scott to me as a director kind of feels like he almost deserves to be in the same kind of like vein of like, you know, George Lucas, James Cameron, Steven Spielberg, but never quite reaches that level of recognition, I feel like. You know, like he's like just below it, and he desperately wants to be in the level of recognition, I think, where he wants to be seen as the visionary, almighty director who could do amazing things, or Martin Scorsese or something like that. You know, in that same vein. And I think he's an incredibly skilled director, but just not quite held to that kind of level of you know, what people expect from him, anyways. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but going forward here, we have I'm going to give you a quick little plot summary of the movie. In the distant future, the crew of the commercial starship Nostromo are on their way home when they pick up a distress call from a distant moon. The crew are under obligation to investigate the spaceship and sends on the moon afterwards. After a rough landing, 3 crew members leave the spaceship to explore the area of the moon at the same time as they discover a hive colony of some unknown creature. Their ship's computer deciphers a message to be a warning, not a distress call. And when one of the eggs is disturbed, the crew realizes that they are not alone on the spaceship and they must deal with the consequences. Yeah, it's kind of a rough summary from IMDb there. But regardless, everyone kind of knows the general idea of Alien. Especially if you watch the film. You should watch the film before you listen to this podcast. We'll talk spoiler stuff later. Excellent movie. Yeah. Moving on here, we're going to go to the awards section here, which has a ton of awards, mostly for its DVD work, but we're going to focus on like the main like awards it won for the year of release. So first off, I'm just going to start immediately with the Academy Awards, where it won the Oscar in 1980 for Best Visual Effects. Awarded to H.R. Geiger, Carlo Rambaldi, Nick Allender, Dennis Alling, and Brian Johnson. It also was nominated for Best Art Direction and On-Set Direction. Then in 1980, we have the Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films, where it was nominated for Best Special Effects. It won the Best Science Fiction Film, nominated for Best Makeup, Best Writing, won Best Supporting Actress, awarded to Veronica Cartwright, won Best Director, awarded to Ridley Scott, and nominated for Best Actress for Sigourney Weaver's role.
You know, I kept reading Cartwright in the notes, and all I could think of was Bart Simpson. Nancy Cartwright.
Nancy Cartwright. Yeah, I have no idea. Maybe I have a relation. I have no idea. Like a cousin or something like that. Yeah. Possibly. I have no idea. Then 1980 in the BAFTA Awards, it was nominated for Best Supporting Actor to John Hurt. Won Best Soundtrack, awarded to Jim Shields, Derek Leather, and Bill Royal. And then nominated for the Anthony Asquith Award for Film Music to Jerry Goldsmith. It won the Best Production Design, awarded to Michael Seymour, and was nominated for the Most Promising Newcomer to a Leading Film Role. I believe that was to Sigourney Weaver. There's a little cut off on the print right there. And then we have the Golden Globes, where it was nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Original Score for Jerry Goldsmith. Then in 1980 awards, it had a nomination for the Grammy Awards for Best Album of Original Score written for a motion picture or television special. Then, and also in 1980, we won a Hugo Award for Best Dramatic Presentation, awarded to director Ridley Scott, the screenplay writer Renald Shusett, and Dan O'Brien for also doing the story and screenplay work. Then also in 1979, we have the British Society of Cinematographers, where it was nominated for the Best Cinematography Award to Derek Van Lint. Then in 1979, there was also the Jupiter Award, where it was nominated for the Best International Actress to Sigourney Weaver. And then also in 1979, there was the San Sebastian International Film Festival, where it was nominated for Best Film and won Best Cinematography and Special Effects. And that is the awards for Alien right there. Then we're going to move on to the cast notes here. Cast here, we have Tom Skerritt playing the character role of Dallas, the leading man of the role anyways. And then we have the leading lady coming up here. Tom Skerritt was in the film Contact in 1997, another science fiction film, well regarded. And then we also have the film A River Runs Through It. Next up, we have the legendary Sigourney Weaver playing the role of Ripley. Sigourney Weaver, of course, best known for such films also James Cameron Avatar, most recently, Avatar 2, where she plays a young woman now, and in Galaxy Quest in 1999, and Ghostbusters.
I was going to say, you're going to forget Ghostbusters?
I'm not going to forget Ghostbusters. I'm going to forget Ghostbusters. And a ton of other roles. Sigourney Weaver, excellent actress, many films under her belt. Excellent stuff. And then next up, we have Veronica Cartwright playing the character of Lambert. Veronica Cartwright, also known for such films such as The Witches of Eastwick in 1987, and Flight of the Navigator, which we just recently covered on this very podcast just a few weeks ago. Next up, we have Harry Dean Stanton playing the character of Brett. Harry Dean Stanton was also in the film Lucky in 2017. I believe it was actually his final film for his passing. Excellent little kind of a Western film. And he was also in Christine, the Stephen King film in 1983. He didn't direct that one. He directed... which one did Stephen King direct? Do you remember which one it was? Was it the Overdrive movie with the mad cars? I think it was that. Stephen King book, movie, Christine. I don't remember who directed that.
Car, Christine.
Yeah, minor digression. Yeah, Car, Christine, Evil Car. Good movie. Next up, we have John Hurt playing the role of Kane. John Hurt was also in the film 1984, in the year 1984. And he was also in the movie Hellboy in 2004, one of my personal favorites. And he was in Snowpiercer in 2013. Next up, we have Ian Holm playing the character of Ash. Ian Holm was also in The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, and The Fellowship of the Ring, and the Two Towers. That's what it was. Yes, where he played, what was it?
Bilbo.
Bilbo, thank you. Bilbo Baggins. I was going to say Frodo by accident. It's early in the morning for me. He's also, of course, in The Fifth Element, where he plays the priest.
I love The Fifth Element.
Yes. Excellent movie. And Fifth Element was in 1997. Oh, gosh, how time flies. Next up, we have... I'm going to mispronounce his name, and I'm going to feel bad for that, but Yaphet Kotto playing the character of Parker. Yaphet Kotto was also in the films Homicide, Life on the Street in 1993, Live and Let Die in 1973, and Midnight Run in 1988.
That was a good movie, Midnight Run.
I've actually never seen Midnight Run. It was Robert De Niro, right? I think
so.
I think it was Robert De Niro. Maybe? Yeah, I might have to check that one. I think it was a Robert De Niro film, but I own it, but I never watched it, of course. But
imagine that you own
yeah, I'm one of the several hundred movies I own. Okay.
Yeah, Robert De Niro and Charles Grodin.
Yeah. Next up, we have Helen Horton, not Helly, Helen Horton, playing the playing the voice-only role of Mother, the ship's AI computer. Helen Horton was also in the films Superman 3 in 1983.
Love it.
And Let's Be Happy in 1957. Then last and certainly not least, we have Eddie Powell playing the role of the alien. Eddie Powell. Oh, excuse me there. My apologies. We have Eddie Powell was also in the films Legend in 1985 and Second Chances in 2014. Oh, and one final little note there. I don't have the name of the cats themselves, but 4 different cats played the role of Jonesy, Sigourney Weaver's cat in the movie.
Yeah, Kyle was going to leave the cat off the cast list. I said, Kyle, you can't leave the cat off. It's like leave a Toto off the cast list of Wizard of Oz.
I probably would there too. I probably did.
But watching this movie, why did the alien just eat the cat? I mean, there were several instances where he could eat it, especially when Sigourney Weaver turns around that thing and he's in his cage and you see him like looking at the cat like this, like, oh, the cat's a goner. You know what I mean?
Well, the cat can still get into more places than the xenomorph can. There's more interesting prey on the way.
Maybe he did kill him and it was just the cat using his 9 lives.
Oh.
You didn't think of that one, did you?
It's very clever. Very clever. Jimbo, you're awful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, Jimbo, we can move on to the cast notes, and then we'll get on to our thoughts of the film, because we got a lot of notes to go through.
You said we are moving on to the cast notes?
Moving on to the notes, our trivia, our fun little facts.
I was going to say, we just...
Our big old section of facts of this film, which there are.
Yeah, I think there was 29 pages of notes, so we trimmed it down some. There's still a lot, so I divided them up with Kyle. Just because it's just a lot.
There's a whole lot, too, and that'll also open up opportunities to talk about our favorite moments of the film, too. Which
right.
Are
so what I'll do is, what we'll do with this, Kyle, since this is an epic size note portion, is I'll do a page of mine, then we'll let you go to a page of yours, and then we'll just bounce it back and forth.
You think you have a bigger stack than me?
That's right.
It'll work out. We'll figure it out as we go.
Okay, I'll do 2, you do 1.
Something like that. We'll be fine. It'll be fine.
It's too early to do it.
We'll do it live.
Too early to deal with you today.
I know.
All right. So here we go. Some of the fun trivia facts and about production and all that. So Veronica Cartwright had originally auditioned to play Ripley, but producers opted for Sigourney Weaver instead. Weaver was initially more interested in playing Lambert because in the early screenplay, Lambert was written as a wisecracking character. And later rewrites, the role of Lambert became much more subdued and serious and was given to Cartwright. So Cartwright could have been Ripley.
Did you, and later in your parts of the cast notes there, did you actually get some of the other actors that were considered for the role of Ripley? Because I have a few of them off the top of my head that I can kind of mention to you.
I somewhere in here there is, I do believe, but if you want to go ahead and do it now, we can skip that when we get to it.
Yeah, we don't have to skip necessarily, but we can go through it again. But I know one of the original
I know people, Meryl
Streep was the character I was going to bring up.
Because did you know that Sigourney Weaver and her were actually roommates at Yale, I do believe. But the only reason that Streep didn't go for it is because she was mourning the passing of her companion. I can't remember his name. It's in the notes.
But she would have been very interesting to see that role instead of Sigourney Weaver. I think she could have done it, but
okay, let me ask you a question.
Go for it.
So if Meryl Streep would have done this movie, can you see Meryl Streep as bald in like Aliens 3?
That would have been weird.
Thank you.
But also,
it would have been really weird.
Why not? Or the idea of Meryl Streep playing an action star in that sense is like completely out of left field for me, but I want to see that universe where that happens.
But you did see her in Death Becomes Her. She was kind of an evil action
Not
comedy.
in the same way. That was a comedy.
She wasn't carrying a gun.
There was dumb stuff. But yeah, the idea of like imagine she's holding a rifle and like doing the whole thing where it's like, that's way out of left field from Meryl Streep. Exactly. Doing the whole Rambo thing, bandana and all. Just grizzled war vet Meryl Streep. Like, wow, that'd be cool to see. I want that universe too.
Somewhere in an alternate universe.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Moving on. An early draft of the script had a Mel Ripley, making this one of at least 3 movies where Sigourney Weaver played a character originally planned to be a man. Alien was one, and the others being The TV Set, which I've never seen, and Vantage Point.
Vantage Point. I have not actually seen Vantage Point either. Was that the
one that just came out not too long ago?
I don't think so. I mean, for me, The Vantage Point was like a movie. I don't even think Sigourney Weaver was in it. So, no, I have no idea what Vantage Point is.
What was that movie where I want to say it's less than 10 years old, where they shot the movie and then you see the vantage point from each character of the movie. They like show the...
Yeah, no, there was a 2008 film, A Vantage Point in 2008. Yeah, with Dennis Quaid. And Sigourney Weaver was in that too. I didn't realize she was even in that. Yeah. So that was it. And she played the character of Rex Brooks in that movie. Yes. And I've never seen it.
It's a good movie. It's not bad.
I got to check it out. Cool.
All right. The front face part of the alien costume's head is made from a cast of a real human skull. Oh man, should I throw a joke at Kyle here?
Sure, go ahead for it. Am I a real human skull too?
We know this wasn't Kyle's skull because it wasn't big enough.
Saying I got a large head.
Hey, at least I didn't say torso.
It's not necessarily an insult, I guess. Yeah.
Just saying that's because of all the brains up there. 3 aliens were made for this movie. One was a model. One was a suit for the almost 7 foot tall, and I'm going to slaughter his name, and I apologize, but Bolaji Badejo, Badejo, and another suit for a trained stuntman. The models had to be repainted every evening of the shoot because the slime used on set removed the acrylic paint from the surfaces.
Oh my god,
that's terrible.
Yeah.
Nostromo is the title of Joseph Conrad's book. The shuttlecraft is called The Narcissus from the title of another Joseph Conrad book.
Yeah. I think one fun fact about like the part of how this film works is the same reason that Steven Spielberg's Jaws works as well, is just because like the reason it didn't have like a ton of scenes of the shark in Jaws is because the shark didn't work, the prop they made. Same kind of reason in this film too, where it's like if you look at the director's cut has a little bit of it, but like if you look at the scenes where the actor's in the suit, I forget the character's name already. We couldn't pronounce. I'm not gonna butcher it again. But like you look at those scenes, it looks dumb and silly. In the background shots, it really does. So instead, they had to limit all the shots they use, similar to the Jaws, where it's like you only show these aliens in like only its face or only that like pincering jaw kind of thing.
Well, this has been
protruding jaw thing.
This has been dubbed like the Jaws in space movie.
In many respects, deservedly so. And but it's also for the same reason. It's just like they couldn't use that prop, so they had to be very selective about how they used it.
Right,
and it worked for the film in every way. Yeah.
Extra scenes filmed but not included due to pacing problems are as follows. The crew listens to the eerie signal from the planetoid. An additional discussion between Parker and Ripley over the comm concerning the progress on the Nostromo's engines. A scene in which a furious Lambert hits Ripley for her earlier refusal to let her team back aboard the Nostromo. An additional conversation between Lambert and Ash in which Lambert notices a dark patch over Kane's lungs on the scanner, foreshadowing Kane's fate. Yeah. A discussion among the crew immediately following Kane's death on how to proceed further. An alternate death scene for Brett. Ripley and Parker witness Brett still alive being lifted from the ground. Ripley and Lambert discuss whether Ash has sex or not. An unfinished scene in which Parker spots the alien next to an airlock door. He asks Ripley and Lambert over the comm to open the airlock and flush the alien into space. However, the alien is warned by a siren and escapes, but not before he gets injured by a door, and its blood creates a small hole, causing a short hole. Mm-hmm. Which I thought that was really... and, you know, I didn't really think about it till towards the end of the movie last night. Like, when the facehugger... Mm-hmm. When they did that and the acid started dripping through, and it went through 3 decks of the ship. Yeah,
3 decks of the ship.
Then I was like, why don't they just shoot this alien? You know what I mean? And then I started thinking, well, if this alien starts bleeding all over the place, you're going to have a hole in your hull, and it's just going to be sucked out.
And that was intentional from the start. They didn't want this to be a gun movie, so they had to make sure, like, that's what they did, the molecular acid blood, because they wanted to create an alien where, like, if you squash this thing, it's going to create a lot more problems than it actually solves at the end of the day. And that's a brilliant part of the design, too, and also makes him a compelling, you know, it makes him a good monster for a sci-fi film where you think you have the answers to these problems. Like, even a laser would cause it to still bleed out and cause more problems in himself in each case.
Right.
Yeah.
The alien's habit of laying eggs in the chest, which later burst out, was inspired by spider wasps, which are said to lay their eggs in the abdomen of spiders. This image gave Dan O'Brien nightmares, which he used to create the story. But spider wasps lay eggs on their prey, not inside of them. After which the wasp maggots simply snack on the sting-paralyzed spiders. O'Bannon may instead have been thinking of either, and I'm going to butcher this, Ichneumon wasp or Brochnid wasp. The Ichneumon drills a single egg into a wood-boring beetle larva, whereas the Brochnids inject eggs inside certain caterpillars. Both result in far hatched outs, more like the O'Bannon alien.
That's also kind of like... I promise I won't have a digression for every single note you have.
Liar, but I digress.
Yeah, but I digress. But I think that's also like part of the inception of the Last of Us video game, and now the current ongoing TV series had a similar idea of the cordyceps mushroom kind of infesting itself in ants in the real life scenario, and kind of bursting out of the ant and becoming like a huge a treat for birds to eat, and then, you know, presumably spread over, of course. But similar idea of, like, you know, the infection gets inside of you, then it literally bursts out of your flesh in the most terrifying way, and that was kind of like a source of inspiration from Aliens to The Last of Us now. So it all goes back to Aliens all the time.
There was over 130 alien eggs made for the egg chamber inside the downed spacecraft.
Wow.
Sir Ridley Scott's 2003 director's cut largely came about when over 100 boxes of footage was discovered in a London vault. I like how all of a sudden they just discover all this found footage all the time, you know, extra footage.
It's the most crazy.
Ain't it ridiculous?
It's like, what's funny is that applies to everything too. Like,
right,
like,
not just
like, you know, huge big music bands. Like, oh yeah, we lost the gold record of that like 20 years ago, and we have no idea what's that. And then they found like an apartment in London 30 years later.
It's like the lost record of the Beatles or something.
Exactly.
I was like, how do you lose this?
You're like, what do you mean? You're the biggest thing in the world. How do you lose that?
Many of the interior features of the Nostromo were inspired by images from airplane graveyards. For the Awakening from Hypersleep segment, Veronica Cartwright and Sigourney Weaver had to wear white surgical tape over their nipples so as to not offend certain countries. To simulate the thrust of engines on the Nostromo, Sir Ridley Scott had crew members shake and wobble in the seats in which the actors and actresses were sitting. I feel your pain because Kyle comes into the record every day and he just sits here and shakes around all the time.
Anyway. Like every Star Trek actor ever. Whoa, being attacked.
Lean to the left.
Link to the left.
H.R. Geiger's initials designed for the facehugger were held by the U.S. Customs. His initial designs for the facehugger were actually held by U.S. Customs, who were alarmed at what they saw. Dan O'Brien had to go to Los Angeles International Airport to explain to them that they were designed for a horror movie. The actual production design of the facehugger used by sculptors to make the real prop was created by Dan O'Bannon, as O'Bannon had trained as the designer. Geiger wasn't available in England at the time, so I guess he was going through customs and like, what is this?
Oh my gosh, yeah. If you had no idea. Finding anything from H.R. Geiger has to be concerning.
Funny thing, though, is you can actually get for those of us that wear a CPAP machine, you can actually get the facehugger as your
CPAP machine mask, which is just ridiculous. I love it.
Kyle wishes he had one.
Probably will need a CPAP machine.
Hey, when we go to Comic-Con this year, you should just get one and wear a facehugger around your face.
Dr. Sayus and facehugger on it.
All your pictures that you take with celebrities.
Just Photoshop it on.
No. Just wear the facehugger over your face and we'll take your picture with.
Yeah. Okay, like one of
if
those,
Sigourney Weaver's there, you have to do it.
Hoodies you can zip up to your face and just has a facehugger that comes over your hood.
You have to.
That would be
if Sigourney
great.
Weaver's there, you have to wear a facehugger and get your picture made.
If I ever got to meet Sigourney Weaver, I would never wear a mask. I'd like, you see my face with Sigourney Weaver, right? We're in the same room. I'm happy now.
Oh, man. Where was I? You just had to throw that. I forgot where we were.
You started it.
Found footage. Oh, no.
Found footage.
Nipples. Okay, let's keep going.
Found footage, nipples. Yeah.
Wobbly seats. Okay. No, the facehugger. There's where we are. Okay. The chest bursting scene was not filmed in one take despite the myth. The scene was filmed twice. On the first take, the chest buster did not make it through Kane's shirt, so the crew needed to reset and shoot again. The failed attempt is visible in the finished film since Ridley thought it made it look like the creature was struggling to push its way out and made the scenes more violent. So you can see that in the Beast Within documentary where it is discussed.
Yeah. And the whole scene's there were like his whole spasming scene, like no one can spasm like he does, because like it really does this like, oh gosh, we got to hold him down, someone's gonna break. He does it so perfectly well.
Well, thank you, Dr. Kyle, for saying nobody can spasm like he does. Jeez.
Highest compliment I can give.
To get Jones the cat to react fearfully to the descending alien, a German Shepherd was placed in front of him with a screen between the two so the cat wouldn't see it at first. The screen was then suddenly removed to make Jones stop advancing and start hissing. Poor cat. No wonder they needed 4. He probably had a heart attack.
Thing. Yeah. Terrified.
Dallas's pursuit of the alien down the ventilator shafts and the intercut scenes of the rest of the crew urging him on were all shot in one day. It was conceptual artist Ron Cobb who came up with the idea that the alien should bleed acid. This came about when Dan O'Bannon ran into a wall with a screenplay on how to handle the last half of the movie. He needed a good reason for why the crew members don't just shoot the thing and kill it, but make it an indestructible monster that can't be killed. The acid blood was the ideal that solved the problem, which we talked about a little earlier. Mm-hmm. Sir Ridley Scott did all of the handheld camera work himself because it was such a confined space. He had to use a handheld camera for a lot of the shooting. The creature is never filmed directly facing the camera due to the humanoid features of its face. Sir Ridley Scott determined at all costs to dispel any notion of a man in a rubber suit. But if you see it, it is a man in a rubber suit.
Yeah. Originally, the idea was have it be like humanoid, because like I said, they built in that humanoid skull and that kind of translucent head of it, kind of going forward. And it wasn't until later, like in the Aliens and other sequels, they decided like, oh yeah, let's actually have it take on the traits of whoever it inhabited. Like I think it was like Alien 3 or 4, where it got inside of a cow, and then later it gets on like bull kind of like stereotypes, or it gets in like a dog, so it gets like more.
That's what I was saying. Why did he just latch on to the if the alien was like there was concept that he was dying, that's why he got on he was wanting to go somewhere to die or reproduce, whatever. Why didn't he just get the cat? That's what I was thinking. But
yeah, and I think part of what works with the horror of the alien, especially in this film, is that like its motives are completely unclear and also inconsistent too. Like when it gets through Dallas's, like it takes his body, but it doesn't take the other bodies. It doesn't take Brett's body, for instance. It just kills Brett, kills his skull, and then drags him, and then like kills him away a little bit, but doesn't like take him away. Whereas like Ash is almost like, is he eating it? Is he consuming it? We have no idea. Is the alien a he even? Is it a she? You don't actually know that in the film, which I think works very well. Later in the sequels, you get more details which kind of dispel a little bit of horror, but still, in this one film,
things don't make sense, but in a good way of like they're more confusing, more disorienting. It makes me feel more unease in this film. So I really appreciate that.
According to Sir Ridley Scott, the mechanism that was used to make the alien egg open was so strong that it could tear off a hand. I'd stay away from that.
Yeah. Jeez. That's terrifying.
Because I do believe it's Ridley Scott's hand in a rubber thing that's breaking through the egg.
Oh.
I think it's in here.
Oh, cool.
Jerry Goldsmith, once again, one of the great composers in movie history. He was upset by the changes that Sir Ridley Scott and editor Terry Rawlings wrought upon his score. Scott felt that Goldsmith's first attempt at the score was far too lush and needed to be a bit more minimalist. Goldsmith did a second attempt, but was horrified to discover that his amended score had been dropped in places by... Kyle, what are you doing?
It wasn't me.
It was the alien. Dropped in places by Rawlings, who inserted segments from Goldsmith's earlier score for Froude instead, and had replaced his final with Howard Hanson's Symphony No. 2. Rawlings had initially used these as a guide track only, but both he and Scott ended up preferring them to Goldsmith's revised work. Goldsmith harbored a grudge against the two for a very, very long time.
I can certainly understand that, but also I would say like the music in this film is incredibly, is incredible. I think this is definitely a film like we watched it in the 4K UHD kind of like territory, and high dynamic range and things like that too. But this is one of those films where like you're kind of surprised by like if you're investing in a huge entertainment system, it rewards you immensely. It's like this is the kind of film you actually buy it for. It turns out, like lots of other films like they don't hold up that well, but occasionally they do. Moving on here, I'm going to take on a page because Jimbo went through 2 pages and he almost covered everything on each page, where I covered like half of 1 page here, but I'll get through all the same. The person in charge of the Nostromo set was a former serviceman who had the idea that every label on the ship has to have clear meaning and proper purpose. He thus invented this interstellar standard for signs, labels, and commercials of spaceflight. So he had a whole unified standard of like, hey, if you see any sign on the ship, it has purpose, has meaning, and if you want to dig in and try and find the details yourself, it all kind of makes some kind of formal sense, which I really appreciate. According to Dan O'Brien, H.R. Geiger, and Ridley Scott through interviews for various years, and behind the scenes and making of documentaries about the film, at one point both the face hugger and the xenomorph were going to have eyes. As shown in the concept drawings of the characters, the face hugger was supposed to have one single eye, front and center of the body between the webbing of the 2 sets of fingers, and the xenomorph would have 2 large eyes, variously shown as either bug eyes or eyes resembling the lenses of sunglasses. However, no one was really satisfied with the looks, so they decided it would be more unsettling to the audience if the creatures had no eyes and were guided solely by instinct. However, if you look at behind-the-scenes footage of Geiger building the xenomorph costume, the head does have a human skull head beneath the smooth top of its head. That is, elongated head itself is actually a thick but translucent. So the idea may have been that the xenomorph does indeed have eyes that are simply shielded or hidden beneath the smooth skin of the head instead of visible on the surface of the head. So
I don't know. I think it makes it more scary if he doesn't have eyes and he's just hunted by smell or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like kind of like an echolocation or something like that too. Like regardless, it's just like he's a very uneasy creature to even look at because you don't know where to look at him at even given moment. So yeah, I think
which is even really ironic because they make up that thing to track him by movement. And if he's doing the same thing to them.
Exactly. That kind of creates the back and forth of like, oh yeah, they're both kind of just sensing each other in the same way. And the xenomorph is a lot better at it than they are. They're uncomfortable about it where it's like, we're using our eyes, he's using the movement, and we have to use movement too, and we're not as good. So I love that too. Like the alien has the advantage on us in so many ways that I really appreciate in this film. When Brett takes off his hat and gets soaked by the falling water, you can hear the xenomorph hiss with anticipation in the spray. That is one of the coolest scenes in the movie. That whole like chains dangling around and that whole like wet room, which makes no sense to have in a show. Why would you have running water
that was in the notes,
constantly
like,
dripping around?
But Ridley Scott said,
but it looks cool.
I want it.
And it's also amazing. That's our first real look at the huge alien. But because of the way the scene's shown, like, you don't even see it. You don't even see it dangling on top there if you're not actually looking for it. So it's like, it's hidden in plain sight.
Well, you don't know what it looks like.
Yeah, you don't know what it looks like. So it's literally hidden in plain sight. It's literally front and center of that image. But because it's just dangling and swinging with the chains, you don't even notice it. And it wasn't until, like, repeat viewings, I'm like, oh my God, it's right there. And it's amazing. He just looks up and he's like, and just gets his skull burst. Amazing scene. Okay. Moving on. It is never stated why a commercial towing vehicle such as the Nostromo would need a self-destruct mechanism. However, several theories have been proposed by fans in the years since. In an emergency, it'd be better to blow up an out-of-control starship hauling a colossal ore refinery rather than allow it to crash into a populated planet, colony, or space station. Contemporary space rockets include self-destruct systems in case they veer off course at launch, and the system of the Nostromo could be similar purpose, although it seems likely that the Nostromo was built to orbit rather than launched from Earth. The presence of colonial marines in the aliens universe imply that must be a threat or threats that marines have established to counter. Therefore, self-destruct systems may be designed to prevent valuable equipment and technology from falling into the hands of competitors, pirates, or terrorists. A huge starship could be a devastating weapon if captured. Get me going to my next page here. I'm gonna do the next page too. Why not?
Look at this guy.
Yeah, right. I want to take initiative, Jimbo. I feel like I'm being good at it.
Well, that would be the first time in the history of this podcast you took initiative.
I'm having second thoughts now.
I was kidding. Give us a joke.
No. All right. Scott's original refinery design looked literally like a long upside down cathedral, and even in the current design, I think you're gonna get that same image with like four massive pillars kind of spiraling up in the sky there too. And I just love the idea of like this giant ore refinery, which feels like the size of like four giant buildings, four Empire State Buildings, basically stacked on top of each other. But you just have a crew of less than 10 people managing this whole thing of essentially like a value of potentially billions of dollars of today's profits would be in that ship alone. And that kind of goes further into some of the Android stuff I'll talk about later. But like
that's why gas prices are so high.
Yeah. But it's like imagine a cargo ship like managed by less than 10 people. It's like that's insane. And now the scale is like, even more exponentially like the next level of dramatic increase, the next exponential layer to it. So that's insane to me. Shortly after the failed attempts to remove the facehugger from Kane, Ash is seen observing an embryo on the monitor. He immediately turns off the monitor when Ripley appears to question him, revealing that he knows Kane is impregnated and does not intend to disclose that knowledge. I believe that's only in the director's cut of the film there, but it's very clear that Ash is completely aware of the original provocative. Like they think it's an alien. Ash knows that it's an alien, or he suspects it's an alien, and is basically like toying with all the actual the real workers on the station. And
you come to find out in the movie that Ash isn't who he appears to be, too.
Yeah, that's what I mean, though. But from the very start, though, they lay the seeds that Ash is. The books aren't what they seem. Ash is working for the company first and foremost, as the other ones are trying to survive, and Ash is playing with them as almost a science experiment. Absolutely devious and evil.
Well, I think we should talk right here about... Sigourney Weaver is questioning him, and they're wanting to know, why did you do this? Why would you do this? And he's like, I don't know. They won't give me no answers. So she goes to this thing called Mother, which is like a supercomputer in like the ship. Yeah. And she's putting in all this information and asks all these questions. And she ends up getting, I think it was like Operation 197 or 193 or something. And it's basically, hey, your objective has been changed. It is to bring back the specimen.
All other assets, crew expendable.
Crew is expendable. And she's like, and so she runs out, and Ash starts locking the doors. And then here comes, what's his name?
Well, Ash is the android.
No.
Parker?
Yeah, the big black guy?
Yeah, big black guy.
Yeah, he's awesome in this movie.
Yeah, no, he's great.
But so basically, Ash has got Sigourney Weaver basically knocked out, and he's taking this magazine, rolls it up, starts shoving it down her throat. And he's basically, you come to find out, he's an android, or robot, if you will. But one of the coolest scenes of this movie is when Parker takes, I want to say a fire extinguisher. I don't know what it was, but he hit him, and then his neck just runs backwards. Mm-hmm. And then he still keeps fighting. It's a great scene, but so that puts a little bit more of a why they haven't been able to, and why Ash's actions. Well, that's a tongue twister. His actions wasn't really adding up in the movie.
Yeah, and it also does a lot of world building too in its own little way. Where kind of going back to like having such a small crew, that kind of raises the question like, well, how do you keep this crew of only how many characters? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Only less than 8 people here. I can't count for nothing. But Ash is essentially like he's the company man in literal android form. Like he has to make sure the company's fine. So like if these workers had the idea of like, hey, let's solve this, $1 billion fortune to another company, or take it for ourselves and build an empire for ourselves and just live the rest of our life on a beach. Ash is there to stop that. He's like a union busting government business guy at the end of the day. He's put there to toe the company line at all costs, even if it means expending the crew.
Right, but they even went as far as to cover it up by I believe he was even in the sleep pods at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, it's totally So
they
had
him implanted in there, and I think the reason that they did that is because they probably knew that the crew wasn't going to make it back, and he could survive with no air and all that, but he played, because if you watch, he never eats in this movie.
Yeah.
He drinks a white liquid substance, which you think's milk, and he's reaching for a box of cereal, but it never shows him eating.
Yep.
So there's hints along.
And he's a new crew member too. They have a scene later where Ripley and Dallas are talking, and he said Ripley asked him, "It's like, have you worked with this science officer before?" And Dallas said he actually worked with a different science officer for like the next five previous missions. But literally the day before they left, they brought on Ash to take over the role. So he's a new guy. He's he's the spy, basically, like that Russian spy or something like that in the movie. But he has ulterior motives, and that's kind of his whole thing. But it just goes to show again, like how the company has to deal with, like, they need to entrust this massive mining vessel to a very small crew, and they have the power to control over it, but they can't like let them know that. Right. So they need to have the Ash in there as the android to make sure that they always do what they're supposed to do. He's the supervisor of unyielding loyalty, basically, like that. And it's kind of interesting to have how mischievous companies can be. This has a very anti-corporate kind of sentiment to it in a minute today, politically speaking. So that's interesting, I think, as a world-building thing. And later we'll probably get to a connection with like Blade Runner and other kind of stuff like too, and how Ridley Scott has always been fascinated with androids in really cool ways. Moving on here to the notes again. Let's see here, make sure I got the right part. Yep. This film and its sequel inspired the long-running series Metroid, the video game series published by Nintendo. The Metroid franchise features a female protagonist, Samus Aran, as a homage to Sigourney Weaver's character, and a reoccurring alien antagonist, Ridley, is named after Ridley Scott as a tribute.
That is actually one of my favorite video games.
One of the best series of all time. Yep. And they're still working on Metroid 4 now.
I'm talking about the original.
Yeah, but I'm so excited for Metroid Prime 4. That's going to be fun. And they just did Metroid Dread last year, so that'd be pretty excellent. And so cool. This fish is the official top 250 narrative features films on Letterboxd Media. Much of the set of this drama was made up of skeletons of old aircraft. Ridley Scott wanted to give the ship an aged look as it was been bandied about space for, as Hurt calls it, donkey years. So the idea is like this ship has been in service for several years, and probably a lot more years to come. So one of those things going forward. So that's going to be my page, and we'll move on back to you, Jimbo.
All right, the character Ash did not appear in Dan O'Brien's original script. The genesis of this movie arose out of Dan O'Brien's dissatisfaction with his first feature, Dark Star, which John Carpenter directed. Kyle and I pulled up the trailer for it. Can I just say, awesome. Because of that movie's severely low budget, the alien is basically a beach ball, but I would think more of like a gigantic balloon is what it looked like to me. You know what I mean?
I definitely I
need to watch this movie.
Yeah.
For a second attempt to buy, I wanted to craft an altogether more convincing specimen. The goofiness of Dark Star also led him in the direction of an intense horror movie, so Dark Star is definitely on our list. There is no dialogue for the first 6 minutes of this film because in the quietness of space, no one can hear you scream. The 3 versions of the landing craft were built for the production, a 12-inch version for long shots, a 48-inch version for the landing sequence, and a 7-ton rig for showing the ship at the rest of the planet's surface.
7-ton rig. That is ambitious for a $11 million film to have a 7-ton rig built for the film.
The producers of It, The Terror from Beyond Space, considered suing for plagiarism, but didn't.
I've seen It, Terror from Beyond Space. It didn't. That's similar. I get why, but also I get why they didn't. They couldn't prove that in court for sure.
Kyle, the original name for the spaceship was Snark.
Snark.
This is later changed to Leviathan, which sounds a lot cooler, before they finally settled for Nostromo.
Yeah.
Leviathan, which sounds awesome. Oh, here you go. The blue laser lights that were used in the alien ship's egg chambers were borrowed from The Who. The band was testing out the lasers for their stage show in the soundstage next door.
That is so cool.
So, hey, can I borrow those?
I had no idea about that. The Who has a connection to aliens.
I wonder, who?
The Who. Who's on first?
The screech of the newborn alien was voiced by animal impersonator Percy Edwards. He was personally requested by Sir Ridley Scott to do the sound effect and was recorded in only one take, which is awesome.
That's incredible. Good for them.
The Nostromo is supposed to be 800 feet long, while the craft she is towing is 1.5 miles long.
Jeez. Yeah, the Nostromo itself is like an incredibly small ship, but it's holding holding a city block, basically, in terms of an oil refinery, and it's insane. I love the design of it. It really is cool.
The spacesuits worn by Tom Skerritt, Sir John Hurt, and Veronica Cartwright were huge, bulky items lined with nylon and with no outlets for breath or condensation. As the actors and actresses were working under hot studio lights in conditions in excess of 100 degrees Fahrenheit, they spent most of their time passing out. Mm-hmm. Wait for it.
Yeah.
A nurse had to be on hand at all times to keep supplying them with oxygen. It was only after... Okay, Kyle. After. Not that multiple people have passed out, but it was only after Sir Ridley Scott's and cinematographer Derek Valiant's children were used in the suits for long shots, and they passed out too, that some modifications were made to the costumes. So it was only after it affected their children. I was like, wow.
It is really messed up. And it was like, we've gotten a lot better, still have ways to go, but man, it's always terrifying how much, like, we were almost
okay, but how's this conversation?
Things.
Hey, well, I put my kid in there and he passed out. Well, why don't you put one of yours in there? Let's see if he passed out.
Just to make sure. He passed out too, look at that.
Yeah. Wait, let me try it. I got a second one.
It is the ultimate example, like when you walk up to a gym bag, this smells awful, and then your friend from across the room will come over and smell it immediately. It's like, it's a bad decision. Why'd you do that?
I don't smell anything.
Exactly, right? Exactly.
Oh, wow. That's ridiculous. The first day that she shot a scene involving Jones the cat, Sigourney Weaver's skin started reacting badly. Horrified, the young actress immediately thought that she might be allergic to cats. And that would be easier for production to recast her instead of trying to find 4 more identical cats. As it transpired, Weaver was reacting to glycerin sprayed on her skin to make her look hot and sweaty. Weird. Moving on.
Well, you don't have to make her look sweaty, but she's always hot.
She makes Kyle sweaty.
No, don't get that image in people's minds, Jimbo. Some royalties. The convention will call us.
I really hope she's at the convention this year. Kyle's going to go and smudge glycerin all over his body.
Oh, no. Don't. You made that so awful. It's weird now. Keep going, please, on the notes. Not that.
I'll pay for the picture for you to go.
Probably be $100.
Hey, who are you? I'm you when you broke out in glycerin because of you thought you were allergic to cats. All right. For the chest burster scene, Sir John Hurt stuck his head, shoulders, and arms through a hole in the mess table, linking up with a mechanical torso that was packed with compressed air to create the forceful exit of the alien, and lots of animal guts, which, according to Sigourney Weaver, caused the set to smell horribly. The rest of the cat was told we're not told that real blood and guts were being used, so to provoke genuine reactions of shock and disgust. Apparently, this worked so well that Yaphet Kotto went home in complete shock afterwards, locking himself into a room and refusing to talk to his wife for several hours.
Yeah. And there's a little bit, like, it's hard to get all the details necessarily, who knew what, when, kind of like situation like that, but it's very
But not
clear,
only that, it's in here in the notes somewhere, I'll just throw it in here, but they said that they thought he was, Sigourney said, I thought he was really dying there, because I guess they didn't tell him a lot. But not only that, but Lambert, the other girl, that they didn't tell him how much blood was coming out. And if you watch that, and she just gets covered, and then now that you know that it has all that stinking, putrid, real life.
Well, I love it too because like in that scene they're still like trying to keep him down and restrained, but as soon as the chest starts going out, they all freeze because they all clearly, and then it's like a good almost 2 solid seconds where they all just stare and don't know what to do, and then all of them just like snap back to reality like, oh right, we got to hold him down, and they all go back to acting. It's amazing.
Yeah, they thought that he was really goner.
You really can't possibly rectify. You can't make that scene. You can't act that scene. You really can't. But in the genuine reaction moment, it's just so amazing. Yeah. So
well, Kyle, pretty much right now we are getting close to the probably 55 minute mark. So what I'm going to do is we are going to end this episode, and we will call this part 1 of Alien.
Okay.
Because if we keep going, there's enough here to keep going for another half hour or something. So I figured we'll cut it here.
You're right. You're right.
And then we'll have another episode for part 2 because there's still a lot more interesting stuff to talk about Alien. Mm-hmm. So Kyle, with that being said, I think this episode's coming to a close, and that's a wrap.
And cut.